Hey everybody, Steve Prusbrowski here. Welcome to Tip 88 in the series on 101 tips to ace your promotional examination. As a reminder, my website, code3firetrain.com, has lots of great free information on it. Check it out if you haven't done so already. Excuse me. And this series is based on my latest book, available off of Fire Engineering Books and Videos website, as well as mine below. So, tip 88, cut to the chase. Know your leadership style. Now, if you've seen my other episodes, you've read the book, you know I have many voices of experience that have offered words of wisdom to support what I'm talking about. So this voice of experience is my good buddy, John Dixon, battalion chief and instructor and volunteer advocate for the NFFF Everyone Goes Home program. He's a battalion chief out of New Jersey and instructor that, teaches nationally and I think even internationally on a lot of great leadership topics, fire behavior, great solid dude that has a lot of great information to share. So let's talk about leadership style a little bit. Why is this important? Well, don't be surprised if you don't get a question during your oral interview that relates to this, because it's very common. I've had this question asked of me and I've asked this question of candidates, company officer, chief officer, especially high up chief officer positions, but hey, what's your leadership style? And to me, there's nothing worse than having someone go, oh, shit, that's a good question. I haven't thought about that one. Let me pull out a book here to look at these. I got, okay, wow, oh shit, wow, there's like 50 different styles of leadership in this book here. This is something you should have already thought of well in advance. There's, like I mentioned, there's books out there. You can Google, Google that shit, and look at the different styles. And it's interesting because some people, you can tell they just read a book or an article or something on the internet, and then all of a sudden their answer is, my leadership style is this, whatever it is. That's it. Well, today, it doesn't take a rocket scientist, no disrespect to rocket scientists, smarter than I am, to figure out that one leadership style does not work for everyone, does not work for every situation, does not work for every individual that you're interacting with. So I think it's critical to know the different types of leadership styles that are out there. Then some people say, well, my style is situational, so I'll be situational to accommodate the situation. I had one guy say that. It's like, I roll my eyes. I'm like, you gotta be shitting me. Or it's like, okay, yeah, situational. Yeah, you could find a definition on situational leadership, but you better know more than that. You better be able to back it up more. Again, like I talked about in previous tips, justify, support it, give examples and everything else. But even if they don't ask you that question on your leadership, on your promotional process, don't be surprised if you don't have a boss ask you that question, or even a subordinate. I remember having one of our new fire chiefs come by the firehouse years ago when he was promoted to fire chief, and we all knew him because he came from within the department. And he's stopping by each of the firehouses, not to introduce himself because we already know the guy, but he's more there just to, hey, thank you very much for your support. I'm looking forward to be your fire chief for as long as I'm fortunate to be in this position. He starts talking about, this is my vision as the fire chief. I plan to do this. I hope to do this, and he asked, hey, what do you guys expect of me? Here's my expectations. It was a great conversation at the kitchen table, coffee, soda, water, whatever everyone was drinking. And I remember one of the captains asked him, what's your leadership style, chief? Excuse me. What's your leadership style, chief? And it was weird because it caught the chief off guard because I don't think he'd prepared for that question. He's a smart guy. And he knew the answer, but it caught him off guard because he had like, what? Chief, what is your leadership style? I've known you for years, I've worked with you, but what do you think is your style? And it was interesting because I'm thinking to myself, man, that's a good question. And I was only, I think, a firefighter at the time, but it was a good question. And the chief stumbled a little bit, but he was able to answer the question. And I think, it was fine. But again, I think it's a question that don't be surprised if people ask you the question, whether it's formal or informal settings. And sort of, I think I touched on this, but what's the best leadership style? There is none. What the last thing you want to do though is, be that person that always says there's one way to do everything, meaning, someone that says, well, I think the best leadership style is autocratic. Okay, dictator type leadership. Well, autocratic works great in the fire ground or the emergency scene most of the time, but then that may not work at the firehouse. Well, I'm laissez-faire. Well, that may be good or bad depending on the situation, or I'm transformational, or I'm whatever the term is. There is no one right style. I think the key is each one of us need to know the different styles are out there, see how we fit in, and be able to adapt to the people that we have, the situation that we have, whatever it is in front of us that we have to deal with, and realize sometimes you're going to have to, I don't want to say be a chameleon, but do different things to accommodate different situations. Hey, here's a question, ask others. You may think you know what your style is. You may think you've got your act together. You may think you're all this or doing a great job, but ask others. Take the time to maybe ask someone a question, because this was a question when I was going for the battalion chief's test. One of the things they required each of the captain, because we were, there's like 10 of us captains taking the battalion chief's test. One of the things we were required to do was actually fill out a self-questionnaire on questions like this. What's your leadership style, blah, blah. It was a self-questionnaire, and it was more of a self-assessment of how do you think you're doing as a captain, blah, blah. But they also then had us share it with our boss and other captains and even a subordinate to find out if, okay, this is what I think of myself. This is how I think I'm doing, but are my subordinates thinking the same, seeing the same? My coworkers, my boss? That was very interesting because, again, I like most people think, hey, I think I'm doing okay, or I think I need this area to improve on, or I think I'm strong in this area. Yeah, you may get that from those, in a 360 type of evaluation, but you also may get some other things you're going to be shocked to maybe hear. Oh, I didn't think I'm that way. Oh, yeah, that's what this person says, so you probably are. It sucks to hear others, but ask the question of others. Now, be careful. When you ask others for their honest opinion, they may give you the honest opinion, which is what you want. But last thing you want to have, hey, can you tell me something that's a weakness of mine? And then they say maybe something, what, Steve, you suck at listening. Well, that's bullshit. No, what was that you said? Or, Steve, you've got a short temper. What do you mean you I don't have a short fucking. You do. You just did it right there. When someone is kind enough to be honest with you and they're not just sugarcoating it, bite your tongue and thank them, because that takes a lot of courage to be able to say, you know what, Steve? Because I have to say that sometimes when people say, hey, can I get your honest opinion? Do you really want to hear my honest opinion? Well, yeah, that's what I'm asking you. Okay, do you really want to hear it? Because be careful what you ask for. Don't get pissed at me. I'm the messenger, because we've all had those people that, okay, you say it, and then, of course, no, I'm not, or no, you're full of shit, and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, don't make me be the a-hole now. You ask the question. So ask the question, but be very open. Bite your tongue when appropriate. Paul Combs was kind enough, as you know, to allow me to use within my book a lot of his awesome artwork that he has published in the monthly Fire Engineering magazine, as well as FDIC, as well as just what he sells on his website. This was a great piece of art that I felt was appropriate for this one here. I wonder if I should be a little more assertive as their leader. Obviously, here's a picture of the leader in the middle. You got 6 different directions, I guess, or suggestions. Well, yeah, you probably should have been a little more assertive as a leader. It's great to get input from others, but there's also a time where you have taken input, you've heard others' feedback, ideas, suggestions, considerations, but now make a friggin' decision and move on it. And then obviously if the decision isn't right and you got to change course, suck it up, admit you made the wrong choice, or you know what, admit you had more information, which means we had to change course. But Paul, awesome stuff. Yeah, who's at the helm? Sometimes there's obviously not a leader at the helm, or a supervisor, whatever you want to call it. So even if you don't know your leadership style, if you don't even know your leadership style, how do you expect to be a credible, respected, and competent leader? Because that's the whole goal of all the stuff that I'm sharing. Hopefully you figured out by now, it's not about, I'm not teaching you how to pass the test or get the promotion or even just get the position. I'm teaching you how to prepare for the position. So no matter what they throw at you during the test, and more importantly, the position, you can hopefully competently, capably handle in a credible, respected manner. Different situations and people will require different approaches. So you got to be flexible and adaptable. So as always, everybody, thank you very much for the gift of your time. Until the next episode, be safe, take care. We'll see you soon.